I'm so glad that people have been like, bruski, I got that fucking Great Value ice cream. Like, it's so good. Fuck yeah, dude. It's so delicious. Like, it's crazy. Walmart has no business making fucking ice cream sandwiches that are that good. Like, it's
I gotta try them. Because I love ice cream sandwiches, but I don't think I've
you
ever
like
tried.
that garbage ass cookie one though, dude.
You're so wrong. The
it's
cookie
so
is
disgusting.
Dude, I literally will fight you.
It's just this soggy ass cookie with these fat fucking frozen M&Ms that just break your teeth. They're like rocks, bro.
I don't eat the M&M one. I get the chocolate chip ones. They're so much better.
Really? There's chocolate chip ones?
Yes, dude. Fuck the M&M's ones. It's literally that cookie. It's not soggy. I don't know who's dunking your ice cream sandwiches in a toilet before they give it to you. Some sick fucking joke that your parents have been doing for years to you. But
they've just been like fucking dousing it in a little bit of water. They're like, teach this kid to be fat.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, maybe that's why they always got the ones with the M&Ms too. They're like, he's gonna break his teeth, little dumbass.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. That could be why you're such a psychopath and love bubblegum ice cream. Hard ass chunks. You literally.
That's actually a great point.
Talk shit about me eating these. First of all, I don't eat the M&Ms. But second of all, you're gonna talk shit to me after your bubblegum ass ice cream eating ass is fucking just chewing.
That's a good point.
Gotta be fucking rocks. There's no
literally
way
like
rocks.
My favorite ice cream is just rocks. It's just fucking rocks, dude. It's so sad. So this is gonna be a shorter episode of Indie Pod, obviously, because we are recording this not only earlier, but we are recording this because I will not be here when we actually would pop on to that standard episode. So instead, this week we are going to be talking about our indie game of the year prospects. What we're thinking. It's that gut check. It's that future sight. We gotta see where we're landing. Or where we're standing. What the fuck? What's that saying?
Where are we going? I don't know.
We gotta see where we're
landing. What are we?
I don't know. Heading?
What are we
like? Our bearing? Do we gotta find our bearing?
We leap. You know, we gotta.
Dude, I don't even know what I'm fucking saying anymore.
I literally have no idea. I figured we're just vamping now. You know what's funny is because we're doing this early and because we're not talking about news like today. Since last week we had no news, I bet the biggest like indie story of the year is gonna fucking come out.
Oh, absolutely.
We're just gonna miss it. We're just gonna be like,
1,000,000%. It's gonna piss me off because we'll get to it. It'd be like fucking Team Cherry, Shadow Dropped Hollow Knight, Silk Song, fucking Toby Fox, Shadow Dropped all of Deltarune. Just like everybody released everything the week that we are gone.
Toby Fox just like, here's chapter 2, but also instead here's all rest. Of them.
Dude, that's the best way to do it. You get somebody hooked on the content. It's like the meth of indie games. He gets people hooked with that little bit of taste, with that little chapters 1 and 2, and then he's like, boom, now pay me $80 for this fucking full game.
I'm sure that's what Toby Fox aspires to be, the meth of video games.
Who doesn't, bro?
Fucking put that on the box.
A lot of things that people like, the meth gets a bad rap. But the real thing everybody needs to know
for good reason
is that like it's addictive. The addictive quality of meth is you want your game to be that addictive, bro. You want your game to be so addictive that people fucking die in internet cafes. Like that's cross my finger if I ever make a video game. I want somebody in like Japan to go on a bender to develop butt sores and to get close to death, never dying. I'm not going to say I want him to die playing my game, but like,
you're going down a really bad hill there.
Don't get like don't get like that close. You know what I mean? Like, I imagine Blizzard feels a little bit bad, and like Riot feel a little bit bad. You know, because they're just garbage places to work for that fucking suck in general. Yeah. But also because there are those few people who love their video games so much that they die in internet cafes.
Right.
And maybe you gotta think like maybe that, dude, what if like Blizzard's holding on to the best World of Warcraft expansion of all time? It's gonna blow everyone out of the water.
They can't do it.
But they're like too many people will just no life this shit to death. They'll just fucking kill
They're
themselves
the
while playing World of Warcraft.
The world ain't ready. Every
Saving
year
the world.
they look and they're like, is it time? And then, you know, another fucking variant of COVID comes out and they're like, oh, not yet.
Dude,
World's not ready.
they're waiting for that Wall-E verse, you know,
That's
where
true.
we're like,
Yeah.
where we're all
Where it's acceptable.
just,
Where
yeah,
they're
we're
just
too
like, yeah,
big.
it's time
Our
to-
legs, they fucking atrophied. Like we have every
Dude,
sort
I
of like
can't-
social stability possible, you know?
I would never. I don't care how acceptable that is in the world. I'd never be able to get like that, dude.
Bet, dude.
It's
I'd be
too
fucking
much.
done. Like 5 seconds, I'd be done. Like they'd be like, hold up, like you could just not do anything but fucking play video games like all day. You could binge as much TV shows as you want.
God.
These dope
I
ass
would
little
feel
robots, you
so
chilling with them,
shitty,
fucking
dude.
fist bumping this Garbo bot. Like hell yeah, dude. Do you see that Amazon just released that robot that's like fucking
Dude.
$1,000 that does nothing?
I was just talking to a couple of my buddies about this, and I was like, someone was like, so what does it do? And we're like, I don't know, it just fucking follows you. And then like
Yeah.
the images, like their captions are like, hey, Amazon fucking robot slave, take these chips to my son who I'm too fucking lazy to walk 10 feet for. Like, what? What?
Yeah.
That's like literally all of their advertisements is like, give them a snack and they'll go a couple feet. And you're like, do I need to
You're
pay
like-
$1,000 for this? Like, my legs
How
still
much time
fucking
is
work.
this really saving me? Like, come on, dude.
I don't.
At least
yeah.
Cosmo's kind of cool because one, it's only like $100 or like maybe 200, which is still like it's pretty hefty. But Cosmo smiles at you and it's cute. This thing looks fucking stupid, and Cosmo will flip blocks. That's also a thing. He'll play with
got-
you. You can play
dude,
with it.
this
This one
thing's-
just follows you around and
It's
is
got
like
a dust
it's Jeff
pan
Bezos.
for a face, dude.
Yeah, dude, fucking Jeffrey Bezos just listening to your conversations, and it's gonna be like the Alexa of robots. It's gonna be like you're gonna be like, man, I wish I had more dish soap, and it's like ordering more dish soap, and you're like, no, I don't have money for that right now, and they're like ordering 10 gallons of dish soap, so you will never have to buy more dish soap, and you're like, no, it just like empties your bank account on fucking dish soap.
Dude, that's facts. That's the future. I hope you're
Yeah, I
ready.
like how this started out like me being like, I want to fist bump a robot, and then afterwards it's just like, dude, fuck robots. You know,
the world.
Like,
The world
they
is
kinda
a scary
suck.
place, man. We don't know. We don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter. Did you hear in like 2030, there's like they thought it was a planet, but it's like a comet, and it's just coming towards us, and it's gonna like by 2030 it'll be next to Saturn, dude. In like 20 years, that thing's gonna fucking smash right into us. We're all gone.
I'm fucking dude. Let's go, bro. Just upload my consciousness into some fucking video game. Like I don't need this physical body to live on, you know what I mean? Like fucking just upload all of our consciousnesses into some weird ass server, launch that bitch into space. We're golden, you know? We're
gold.
Who needs
gold.
flesh and blood when
This
you
is
got a digital soul?
This is a weird episode. And I also do,
yeah.
usually I look at the time and I'm like, oh, we've been vamping for like way too long. Like we should get into the episode, but we don't really have too much. So I just don't
Yeah.
even feel the pressure on it.
And also, like, I really thought we had been talking for a while. Look over 8 minutes. What the fuck?
I know.
It feels like it's been so long. Dude, okay.
It's just weird.
Last little bit of vamping. I have to get off. I have to get off my
Do
chest
you?
before we
Jesus.
fucking. Yeah, that I have to, just shoot out there before we hop into what we're actually talking about today, bro.
All right. What's up?
I feel like I've fucked myself my entire life, Like I've really
sounds hot.
messed up because every time you went to go pick something up, people are like, lift with your legs, not your back.
Yeah.
You'll hurt your back when you're older. I feel like I've just been fucking myself. I've been getting myself closer and closer. Like when I was younger and had a stronger back, it was totally fine. But now every day, hunched over this dumbass machine. And it's just like, it's killing my back, bro.
I can
It's
imagine.
like, always have back pain. And I'm like,
Even if you
we
even
not?
even if you have a relatively like good back, or you like I exercise regularly, like I feel like I have
nice little
generally
humble brag there, bro.
a pretty well no, but like I'm saying, like it's not
If you
like
haven't
I'm just
realized I exercise regularly.
It's not-
Sorry.
but like it's not like I am just doing nothing and then
Yeah.
one day I got old and all of a sudden, oh no, my back hurts. No, it was I've never really had problems. And then I hit 30. I think I told the story on Indie Pod, or maybe it was like before. I was literally like just bent down scrubbing the bathroom floor and I threw my back out. Like what? Like the oldest man type thing from nothing. I remember just,
That's awesome.
I literally just went down, scrubbed a little bit, went back up, and I was like, oh no. Like that was it. Like I just knew.
Your back's just like, I'm done.
It's
dude.
like,
Like,
We
you
had a
wanted
good-
to walk like upright? Not.
it's like
No.
we had a good run. That's it.
I mean, bro, my head is just too big, you know? I feel like it's
true.
pulling my like
that weight,
gravity
that
is
weight.
just anchoring onto my head and it's like just pulling it through my body. That's why like when I lay down it's fine. You know, this gravity's evenly distributed. Fucking science facts with Vaughn here. It's evenly distributed along my body, but when I'm standing straight up, head's too big. It just pulls into that center mass, and just it's crushing me from the inside.
You're gonna have to get a permanent neck brace that you're just gonna constantly have to hold your head up.
I would do it, you know. Like I would fucking do that shit in like a heartbeat if my back just wouldn't hurt anymore, you know. Like it would just be better. It would be so much better. So this week's episode, we're going to be talking about our indie games of the year so far, what exactly we think are going to be our indie games, and a few games that we believe if they come out in 2021. And I say if they come out because all of the games that I have on here, probably not. But if they do, they's probably going to be knocking some of these bitches off the list, which is hilarious that I say off the list because I have 2 games on my list. So it's not like it's not really that hard to like
I feel like you've
around.
only played 2 indie games this year, Vaughn.
Nah, it's been like maybe 3. Like it's not that bad, but yeah. I haven't played that many new indie games this year.
Yeah.
Because I played a lot of Hollow Knight.
That's true too. Yeah. I'll allow it.
And
I'll
I'm
allow it.
playing some Flintstone and Crimson right now, bro. Like, granted, this
Wait,
week
is that
been
on your
kind of
is that on your list though?
no.
Yeah.
Like I played like 3 hours of the game. It's not gonna be
Alright.
my fucking game of the year.
It might be. Who knows? That might have been the
Maybe.
best 3 hours you've ever had. You know.
That's very possible. Hello and welcome to IndiePod, an indie games podcast, your weekly source for all the indie games news you need to know. This week, we are actually not going to be bringing you any news stories, no news cram, or God bless the crowd, no listener questions. This is going to be a
giving
little
you
bit
nothing.
different of an episode. Yeah, it's actually not even an episode. We're just going to
yeah.
peace
What if
out.
we
We
just
literally
do-
just shut up to say hello.
That would be great. Can we do that for April Fools? Can we literally put an episode like that? Oh, that would be. Oh,
See, I feel like I would that'd be great, but we have to mislead them somehow. So it would literally just be us like talking for a second and then just cut off, and it's just an hour and a half of dead air. Like, and
Dude,
I feel
you know
like
what
there'd
our
be
April
some people
Fools-
who'd be like, maybe they say something in the middle of there. So
they'd
maybe
have to
that's what
scrub
I'll do.
through it,
Just
yeah.
like every fucking like just random ass increments, 5 minents. I pop in, I'm
Dude.
just like titties, and then
the
like pop out.
YouTube analytics on that would be so screwy because you just have people just trying to find any bit
Yeah.
of content. We should have,
Or
I
it's
think-
just like an hour and a half of us just like sitting here, just like
dude. Yeah, we should either A, we should talk about something completely different, like just not indie games at all, not even video games, just like something totally different, or
not
B,
even broach the topic. We're just
we-
like today we're going to be talking about steak. I don't know, fucking A1
sure, why
sauce. Like
God, no, I'm not into that. We'll do like a ranking of fast foods.
act like
No.
it's what we've always talked about. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
were
yeah.
your top fast food podcast.
Where you could always come on down, where you could always find the best things to eat after 2 a.m. Or B, I think we should just do it where we have like the normal intro and then all of a sudden we just like clip it out and then just cut to an episode of like Active Quest or something like totally different. Like,
That would be pretty good. That would be pretty good. So, if you're wondering, obviously, I don't know if I cut this part out or not. I probably won't because I'm pretty lazy when it comes to it. But whatever.
Editing is
This
tough.
episode is going to be about our gut checks on what exactly our game of the year or our indie game of the year is going to be because, of course, each and every year we record an indie game of the year episode. But right now, we're kind of like, we're more than halfway through the year. We're chilling. We're wondering what exactly is going to be our game of the year. And I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation, mostly because, and I don't mean this as an insult in any way, but like, I feel like we just haven't been getting as big of like bangers as we have in the past. Like, there's always been an indie game in the given year that everyone has played, everyone loves. It is that true indie darling. Like, it's just fucking everybody loves it. But this year, I feel like it's a little bit different. There are games that kind of like rise above, but it's just nothing's getting that fucking 10 like Celeste did. Or
Yeah.
like it just, yeah, it's not happening. So instead, this conversation is going to be pretty interesting, and I'm excited to talk about it. We have our picks for what we believe our indie game of the year is going to be, and then a couple of games that we believe that if they come out within this year, will actually find a spot on that list or knock others off of that list. Just to let you know, bro, any of the fucking games that I have on mine come out, probably knocking at least one game off this, and I only got two. So it's like that's the exceptionally low bar that I got right now.
Yeah, clearly you don't got nothing going on.
Not much. Yeah.
Not much. Okay, I like it. I do want to shout out, because I don't know if you have it in the doc right now, but the developer interview episode that's coming out in October 6th will be the day it comes out on Wednesday. It's going to be Fractured Veil. It's basically me talking to, they have a Kickstarter going right now. I think the day it goes up is like one of the last days of its Kickstarter. But it's really cool. It's like a survival crafting game that is built in the way similar to kind of blending MMOs and survival games. They want to, I know. When I started talking about this game, I was like, man, this game fucking sucks for
like
me, but
jam,
it's
bro.
definitely good for Vaughn. Yeah. There was literally a question in there where I was like, do you have to eat and drink though to survive? And he's like, yes. And I was like, I'm out.
You're like, sorry, your game sucks. Interview over. Yeah, I'm done.
But he was super cool, and I really loved the idea behind the game, because it's basically they use servers as this means to, like, they use the story behind it to talk about how they have multiple servers that are keeping like more than 500 people on each area, and it's like different biomes basically. That you can travel to, but you have to, like, if you want to go to a different one, you have to unlock it. And then if you want to stay in that one, you have to go through kind of like a transfer system to like take your house and everything to it. And he equated it to like essentially like getting a work visa for a different country, of like, you have to, he's like, it's not going to be as ridiculous to do that, but you have to kind of work towards doing things to be able to move to a different biome and be a part of that, as like, this is your home base, because of the fact that they have like so many people trying to travel and part of it. I don't know. It seems very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit more housekeeping. Please head over to our Teespring store. It's just IndiePod over on Teespring. Head over to YouTube. Click that subscribe button, click the like button, and all that fun stuff. You can watch these episodes over on YouTube. Leave us reviews on any site in which you could do so, specifically iTunes helps us out a lot. And lastly, thank you so much to all of our amazing patrons at the $3 tier or higher. Of course, if you give us any amount of money, we absolutely adore you. You're fantastic. But I made that blood pact, you know? I didn't bring Big Josh Boy into it, apparently. I meant but like, he wasn't into it, bro. You know, a guy that lives in Florida,
nobody.
You'd fucking think that he'd be chill with like something sucking his blood, you know? Because it's like mosquitoes is everywhere. Like, how you not got the West Nile virus? I have
surprisingly, mosquitoes don't go for me that much.
Really?
You're
just
I
too
don't know.
Sexy for that.
I got nasty ass blood, I guess. They don't like every so often.
I've got garbage blood.
I've got garbage blood. Every so often I'll get bit once or twice. You know. But it's
you don't even have to bat it. It's just like it kills itself. It's just
dude.
Like, nah, I'm done.
It takes a little sucky suck, and it's like, oh, fucky fuck. You know what I'm saying?
So thank you so much to all of our amazing patrons at the $3 tier or higher. Ethan, a gamer for fun. John. Just John. We'll see. Mixamentosis, aka Mix, Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Philip Pritchard, the one better of Australia, Josh Nichols, aka Active Josh, and Sam Fillion from Canada. Thank you all so much. You are also amazing. and let's get into the indie games. So obviously, I feel like your list is going to be a little bit bigger than mine because you, at the very least, have 3, and I have
true.
a 2.
I
so,
do.
Big Josh boy, what you got at your number 4? Because I think you have 4, right?
I have 4.
Okay. What you got at your number 4?
So I don't know that this is in any specific order, but I'll just go with like what is on my 4th. The way that I did this basically is I've considered that there are a number of games that I've played, and these are the 4 that I think could be in that top, echelon. I think that one of these is obviously going to be the winner, but will get wrecked based on definition. But I'm going to put it anyway. And I'm sure if you know me, you probably know what's on that list already. Although,
oh my God.
Yeah, there you go. I'll just say it as that one first, but it's the Binding of Isaac DLC, dude. It's the fucking game of the year. Are you kidding me?
Jesus.
Dude, this game is so good. And they made it so much better. They added so much content, new bosses, new items, new characters, new challenges, new everything. They rebalanced and tweaked like all these things in the game. It's so good and addicting. So fucking good, man. But
I love that you preface that with like, based on definition, it might not be.
Because it's not. Yeah, because it's like, look, here's the thing. If it's my game of the year, like I'm gonna say, I don't care that it's a DLC drop. It's like as big as its own game. I'm gonna say it's a game. And if that was the case, like that's gonna be hands down game of the year for me. Like it just has to be. I sunk so many hours into playing that. I still, from time to time, I'm not as addicted as I was, but like I still put in every so often where I'll be like, all right, I'll pick up another run, and I can just play it and just, it's a good time,
All right.
It's a good time playing.
Dude, you're not going to find any protests here. I'm not going to be like, Big Josh boy, there's no way that you can have after like Rebirth on your list when I've got like 2 fucking games, dude. We're going to get to our indie game of the year thing, and it's just like, I'm going to throw some fucking DLC on here just to pad out this list, dude. Like I got no issues.
I get it. All right. Well, let me hear one of yours, because I think that the 2 that you have, I think I already have on my list.
Oh, yeah, I'm fairly certain you do.
I'm fairly certain.
Like, absolutely one of them, but probably 2. So, obviously, my number 2 is going to be Death's Door by Acid Nerve.
Yep.
It's a game that I enjoyed playing during the year, but I really wasn't blown away by it. Like, everybody else in the industry was. Like, they were really just circle jerking fucking Death's Door. I really don't understand it. And my theory then, and what continues to be my theory now, is that it's just kind of like a dearth of really, really like breaking through to the mainstream indie games. And I feel like that's what it was. Not a comment on the quality of indie games this year, not saying that any are bad, that anything, I'm not saying anything like that, just saying that we haven't had a lot of indie games that have actually broken through the barrier from basically like those who are hobbyists, those who love indie games, to the mainstream. But Death's Door did, and people just like fucking, you know what I mean? Like they're on it, bro.
Very good representation. I don't know that it's breaking into like the larger than the hobbyists. Like I think that it's very common, especially from an indie perspective, that if any indie game gets even the smallest taste of like there's some backing from people, and one news channel or journalist, media form shows any love to it, everyone else has to do it, because they're all trying to chase those clicks, that high of like, we need the viewers. If someone's interested in this, we got to do it too. And I think that kind of pushes certain indies into that world of like, these become the higher known indie games, just because that's the way news works. It's like, it's not a great system, but it does help out when you get that one person who's like, hey, this is a cool game, and then other people just kind of flock to it. I still like, it's on my list as well though. I think it's a good game. I had fun with it, but I will also say the same thing, that this is on my list more because of there not being a ton of games that I just fell in love with. And this game was just, it was really good. It wasn't amazing by any feat, but it was really good and worth my time. And
Yeah.
I hate saying things like that because I know that there's a negative connotation that people will take from this and be like, oh, well, maybe Death's Door wasn't that good. But like it is. Like, but that's the thing. Like, if you compare Death's Door then to me playing Isaac, like it's a totally different world. And granted, that's a difference in preferences, right? But like I think from just a general level of what Binding of Isaac has done for roguelikes versus what Death's Door has done for adventure, semi Souls like action games, not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And technically, Death's
Yeah.
Door is even more so Metroidvania, but like it
No,
doesn't.
I get what you mean though by like it was worth your time. It was a decent investment of your time because there are a lot of like games that will come out that they are fantastic, but sometimes they just drag on a bit too long. They have a little bit too
Right.
much grinding. And it's like I do understand however much it does have a negative connotation where you can say this developer doesn't seem to be respecting my time when I have to spend half of the time I'm playing your game just grinding to play the game itself. Like I totally understand why that could be like a legitimate complaint. And Death's Door, I feel like you said, does respect your time in a sense. Like I do kind of enjoy that. Like I put 10 hours into it and I believe it was like 10 or 12 hours into it. And I feel like I got enough enjoyment out of that. Like I didn't feel like it dragged on a little bit too much. And if you wanted more, the nicest thing about Death's Door is if you wanted more, if you wanted to be that completionist, you love this game that much, you could actually go on and continue to play the game for like 12 more hours. And it's not even that there was like, oh, I could play for 12 more hours, but I got to get all the like it's just the collectathon thing where people will go through and they'll play a game for double the amount of time because they're trying to get all the trophies. This is like, no, it actually has an ending. There is a legitimate reason to play this game and continue on. And I think that's really, really cool. I really love that.
Gravekeeper.
Do you ever get to kill that fucker? Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, bro? You do. That's one of the main bosses
that guy
at the
fucking
end.
died, bro. It's crazy. He's being a little turd. God. No, I very much enjoyed Death's Door. I think it's a really fun game. Thought it had like a really interesting aesthetic. Love the Crow Boys. I think they're dope. It's like it being attached to Titan Souls, just in its not necessarily saying anything about it, but it being attached to Titan Souls in any way is really, really fucking cool. I thought its lore was interesting. And I feel like it does deserve to be on this list, but that one 100% is like if we have a banger of an indie game, if like any of these three that I have on here, they come out and it's going to fall off the like it's more than likely going to fall off of that like in the running. And instead it's just going to be my number one in one of these games. So there's that. But Big Josh boy, you got some more games.
I've got two more. I'm going to use the one that I don't think that you have because I'm pretty sure it'll be the same
we
for
definitely
me
have
on
the
the
other
fourth.
game.
I'm
100%.
100%. But my other one was Everhood, and I struggled putting this on here, but I still think it's worth being shout out. I think Everhood was such a cool concept that just didn't hit as well as I wanted it to, but is still a great game. Everhood it's basically trying to be a bit of an Undertale in its kind of setting and the theme and the way characters interact with you and the strange just you have to figure out the story as you play sense to it. But the combat mechanic, rather than having, you have your mouse icon and you just dodge, or well, it's not a mouse icon, but you have the heart and you just dodge things that are trying to attack your soul. In this one, it played as an anti-rhythm game. I coined the phrase basically where it looks like you're playing Guitar Hero, but you're avoiding the notes rather than hitting them, and you're jumping around and dashing through. And like, I loved the idea. I thought it was so cool, but it did become kind of strange because for the very reason that it was awesome, it also kind of impacted it negatively, where you never really got into that flow state of playing the game with the music, you were playing against it, because that's literally what you're doing, right? So it
Yeah.
never became you hitting the notes and like jamming out and kind of getting into that state of playing into the music where you're just like frantically avoiding stuff. So I still think it was such a cool concept. I think that the story and the craziness of it really just didn't hit home for me. And I think that there were some things that, from a rhythm perspective, I thought could be a little bit tuned differently. I don't know how you would have changed that, because it's kind of tough, because even though, like I said, I thought it was so cool, it also kind of hurt itself in a way. But I know a
Well, I
lot of
mean,
people
would you
who
like it more if it was like a standard rhythm game?
no. So that's the thing, is like that's not what I'm looking for. But
Yeah.
I and it's why I can't put my finger on it. Like I want it to still be that anti-rhythm feeling, but to be able to have a little bit more of that flow state where I feel like I'm playing this music rather than just being in that area trying to avoid things, which is
Okay.
really difficult to do, and it would probably take a lot of planning and design work to actually get you to feel that. And I don't even know if it's possible, right? So this might be something where I just don't gel with it, even though I've seen other people who love the idea, and like I do too, but like have really enjoyed playing it, where this is still a great game. It's on my list, right? It's on my potential candidates for top games, but there were just things that kind of hit the mark. And this is why when we go into our part about like what might knock it down, that still is yet to come for this year, this would probably be the first one that I gets cut from my list.
Okay. I do want to say, like, without spoiling the game itself, do you like I know that it's the anti-rhythm game, so you kind of do obviously like impact the song itself, but in what context are these songs being played? Like are you actually being assaulted by a song? Like in this world, songs do damage to you, or like how
No,
exactly does that work?
not really. It's not really explained in the same way of like it's the same concept of Undertale, where like they make a lot of sense when it comes to many of the mechanics in the game, but like why you're dodging, like your heart is dodging
Yeah,
these
why your
things,
soul is?
isn't really explained, other than it being a game mechanic, is kind of the same in this, right? Like
Okay.
there's moments where you're doing things, and like one of them was just a dance battle, like was one of the starting things that you had to do, and you win by just tiring the person out, which is ending the song,
Okay.
and getting to the end of it, and then the character like kind of passes out and you win because you won the dance off. But like a lot of it, like it's the same mechanic though, it's just that's their form of combat.
Do you think that you would enjoy the game more if it was like that part of the game was actually more fully fleshed, and it was like, oh, you do battle legitimately with music, meaning that they would be shooting stuff at you playing their song, but you would also be playing your song and kind of like battling it out, kind of like a battle of the band scenario? Or for some reason in my head I have like, how, okay, here's a weird question. How familiar are you with the Lord of the Rings mythology?
Not very.
Okay, well, there's a little bit here from the Silmarillion. Essentially, everything like in creation, or at least Middle Earth, as far as I know, was actually created through like hymns, through songs, and all the bad shit and the fucked up shit was essentially created through one of the people being like, "I want to write my own song," and then just like fucking shit up. So
no.
yeah, that's kind of how it goes. So I was like
Gotcha.
thinking that maybe you could be in a sense, corrupting their song or
Yeah.
something like that.
I don't think it's as much that, because really thinking about it, you halfway through the game, you've done almost all of the songs and all of the different battles. And then they kind of give you a curveball and give you a form of actually attacking people, which then makes sense in the context of the game of you fighting someone, right? Whereas
Yeah.
in those, you're actually using the notes that are thrown at you, and you have to like collect them and collect a certain number of them in sequence so that you can fire it back at them and do damage to them. But at that point, I had already played all of those songs, and then you have to go and do them again. And it was one of those things where I was just like, I get from a contextual perspective why they did this, and from a story perspective why they did this, but it just felt awkward giving you that halfway through. I
Yeah.
don't know. It
Okay.
some people love it. I thought it was great, and it was very in, you know, very creative in a lot of aspects, but it just kind of missed a few marks that I think would have gotten this to be like my obvious top of the list game, but is still a contender.
All right. Okay. So speaking of like what would be, I would say, a little bit more top of the list. Let's just spit out this fucking game that I'm fairly certain is on both of our lists. It's Loop Hero. Yeah. It's got to be fucking Loop Hero by 4 quarters. Big Josh boy, what did you love about Loop Hero and why is it on your list?
I think with indie games, a lot of the reasons why I play them and a lot of the reasons why I'm so into this as a genre is just because of what we talked about, where they're so different from anything that's mainstream. I never in a million years would have thought of a game like Loop Hero and thought that it would be fun, because if you explain Loop Hero, it's in its own right pretty boring. You literally do nothing for a lot of it. Your whole thing is placing tiles down and watching a character go in a big square shape.
Yeah, and even the changing of your gear is basically just placing tiles. Like it's just tiles. Like I'm taking this tile and putting it on my body tile. Like,
it's a lot of dumb management. It's a lot of just like kind of sitting there and trying to min-max a little bit. It's trying to figure out how can you survive in this loop, but you're not doing anything. You're not actively like you're basically watching a movie that every so often has you like change the channel for some reason. Like it's very like but at the same time, I think it's one of my, like, if I had to rank it under Binding of Isaac, because Binding of Isaac probably can't be a part of it since it's DLC.
That top tier.
It would be the number one. It would be the number one out of this, because it was done so well. It was done in a way that, even though on paper should be boring, is very creative, very different, and just was such a fun experience. And I love the story of you being in this unknown dark world and having to fight your way through and creating your villager, like not creating the villagers, but like building up your town and meeting these villagers who are just in this weird fog and thick of not understanding where you are, and then just playing through and having to, like, some of it was a grind, right? Like that was a bit of it, but at the same time, the grind and the main loop, of this game was really, I don't know. It was, in a way, it was so simplistic that it was such a good game for what it was, I guess. Like, I'm not looking at this game in the context of like, this is my top game of the year because it's something like a God of War or something. Like, it's the most action-packed game. Like, no, I think that it deserves the top because it was such an innovative idea of creating something that really is unlike a lot of games out there. And even though it's such a passive game, it still is fun. Like, I very much enjoyed this game because it became also, just something personally for me, a really good do something half-minded type game. It became that podcast game that people talk about. I did a lot of podcast editing for like the interviews that I do with developers while playing Loop Hero, because it's just such a good game to be like, click, click, click. Okay, I could just let my character walk around and not even think about it. And I don't know. I loved it.
I could sit in loops for hours. I literally did. One time I just wanted to see how long I could go. And eventually the reason I left is because I stopped getting materials. Like, it just stopped. So I was like, I guess I'll just go fuck myself. But no, I totally understand what you mean. Like, indie games, the I guess like genre of indie games, or the like little sect that it has created in the larger games industry, these developers they have this willingness to experiment with what exactly makes a game far more often than anybody else, which is so crazy because they have the least amount of stability. Like, it's so insane. Typically the times that you would get to experiment are when you have this parachute, the thing that's going to keep you alive if like you fuck up. And more often than not, indie game developers are like, it's like my first game.
So that's an interesting point, because I think that it kind of goes into the hand of when you think of something like an entity like a big company, right? You think of someone like a Bethesda, and you go, if Bethesda, like, they should be willing to be creative because they have the room to do it because they have lots of money, right?
Yeah.
And like, you're right, But also, you're wrong because a flop to a company like Bethesda hits so much harder than a flop does to an indie developer. Because the flip side to this is a game that flops from a big developer, they have hundreds, if not thousands of people on it. And you're literally paying them potentially years to do something that gets you fucking nothing. And then you're really, really deep in debt. And that's kind of why these bigger fish in the sea play so safe and why you don't get a lot of these creative ideas. When it comes to like an indie developer, I think the reason why they take the most risk is because honestly, you kind of need to. If you don't play that game, like it's worse off because you can't do the same things that a AAA studio can. You can't play it safe. You can't just make the next shooter because there's no way in hell you're going to be able to, as an indie team, make something as robust as something that hundreds and thousands of people are making with tons of money. Like you just can't keep up with that. So what do you have to do? You have to, that type of work needs to be done in some innovative way. There needs to be some kind of catch or some hook. And that's really what gets people into indie games, at least in my mind, because like I don't like shooters, but I play so many shooters because they usually will have a hook. Gunfire, that it has some kind of, skill building mechanic. Risk of Rain, it has this roguelite element of dropping power-ups. Like those, like I don't really care for a Call of Duty, but you give me that and I'm in love with it. Like
BPM.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like there's so many good games like that flip the script a little bit or change up something that makes it worthwhile.
I mean, I feel like also a small part of this equation that is actually, like I say, a small part, but it's actually probably a much larger bit than we think, is the expectation of what like a AAA game will be. When you think of like Bethesda, you're obviously like Bethesda Game Studios, not necessarily Bethesda Softworks. You're thinking that they're going to be putting out like a Fallout, an Elder Scrolls. Like you're thinking that they're going to be putting out these different things.
Can you imagine if a Bethesda came out with Loop Hero? Like it could be same game. I bet you 100% people would hate it. It would get so much negative publicity because they would be like, this is what you came up with? You're Bethesda. Like there's a little bit of that. You have this reputation where it's like, you can't work on that. That's not you.
Yeah. Also, I mean, there would definitely be those people who are like, I can't believe they took resources away from making the next Elder Scrolls to do this. And it's like, bro, what? Fucking leave it alone. Yeah, that is a great point. Like we've often talked about how indie developers kind of like they take all these risks, but that is a good point. Like I myself never really thought about it that way, but it's like, and big companies, they don't actually really have that much room to take risks.
Right.
Like, and when they do, sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't. Like that stuff happens. But Loop Hero, one of the things that I really, really loved is the fact that like, and this is, I love how often I say this. This is going to sound bad, but I don't mean it this way, is that the developer didn't necessarily craft these painstaking like experiences for the player to go through. They didn't spend hours and hours, obviously, like going through and being like, okay, they meet this person at this time. Like there are in each one of these like over these bigger loops, you have a boss battle that you go through and that's about it. Everything else is entirely doled out by yourself. You are not only playing the hero, but you are also playing the villain. Like you are just battling yourself this entire time until you get to a boss. And it's mostly like a high risk, high reward scenario where it's like, I can get to this boss, I can have amazing gear, but I have to go up against vampires. I've got to go up against ghosts, ghouls, like whatever. And I think that's so awesome. I think it's so cool that Loop Hero is like, yeah, we're going to have these bosses that are really, really awesome experiences, but we're going to make you literally work double hard to get to it because you have to fight yourself this entire fucking time. And I think that's so cool. And when you get to these bosses, they are just different enough to be like really interesting. They aren't just a palette swap with other characters. Instead, you go up against bosses that are like, I have 3 fucking shields that are mirrors that you have to get through, and you have to get through them and hit me before I summon an angel that's going to murder you. Like, they're entirely different. And I think that's so cool and so interesting that, like, seemingly the developer held, like, all of this really, really potent creative energy for these big boss battles that I feel like a lot of, like, other times outside of games that are solely based on boss battles, they kind of fall to the wayside, where it's just like, it's a big fucking, like, it's a big hob, you know, like it's just never that interesting. It's just a bigger version of something, where it's a lot of something. And instead in Loop Hero, it's like, you're never gonna, like, you don't know what to fucking expect from this boss. Bro summons hounds that literally have black holes for stomachs. Like, what the fuck? What are you going to do about that? I love Loop Hero so much. I honestly, like, when it comes to any of these games coming out, I think it's very possible that of the 3 games, I think only one of them could possibly knock Loop Hero off of my number 1. It's easily number 1. Like,
I'm very excited to hear what those are. But before we do, there's one last thing I want to say that Loop Hero does really well, and that I hope a lot more games keep doing. And that's discoverability without forcing your hand. What I mean by that is, you could go through this whole game without understanding that placing certain tiles down next to each other will create spaces that create different enemies, or have random effects that will change and be altered based on having, like, a vampire mansion next to a scarecrow and things like that, or having, you know, the villagers change into these zombies based on where you're putting things. Like, I love games that do that, because it's one of those things where, you know, eventually you might look it up and be like, oh, I want to know what this does. But, like, having those moments of, like, what the fuck, why did that happen? Like, those moments are so amazing in video games, because it's games are designed in a way, if they're done properly, to make you feel smart about doing something or finding something, about being like, oh, because I put those two things, and, like, learning that, right? Like, those type of moments are great. And I think Loop Hero does it really well.
Yeah, there is, like, kind of this epidemic of over tutorializing things, where it's like, I will teach you literally everything how to play my fucking game, but it's going to take 2 hours. Where, Loop Hero just kind of drops you in, and it's like, little do you know, if you place fucking 8 mountains next to each other, you're going to spawn harpies, and those things are assholes. Or, like, if you encircle I believe they're like atriums or something like that. Oh no, they're treasuries. If you encircle them with woods, then it's going to summon gargoyles. Or if you, like, it's just all this stuff that you find out through playing, like you said, and it's just so much fun. Like, it also, I would say, like, in a game that's 90% idle time, like, you kind of just sit there and, like, watch your hero go around, and you put on, like, some new gear, and you put down some new tiles on occasion. I feel like those, like, those things that it doesn't teach you are the things that keep you engaged, where it's like, I don't, literally so many times I'd be holding on to a tile and be like, I don't know what will happen if I put another one of these down.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. And then I do it and I fuck myself. It summons, like, a sandworm. Like, this is fucking Dune, and it eats my existence. Like, it's so cool. I really, really enjoyed that. That's a fantastic point to end the Loop Hero discussion off. Big Josh boy, what would you say that... What's one of the games that could knock some games off of your list? And I do want to ask, like, what game do you think that if this came out, would it knock off specifically?
Yeah. So I think if you had to categorize it, you know, Binding of Isaac would be at the top, and Loop Hero would then come after that. And I think those 2 games, no matter what, are going to stay on this top list. Like, I don't think there's anything that could come out that will do enough to get it off of my list. You know, I think of it as kind of like a top 5. Like, those will probably be in here no matter what. Whereas Death's Door and Everhood, I think they're great games, but they could probably be cut if something else does come out. Now, I have
they're those 7 and 8s where you're just like, it's a great game,
like,
but I don't know game of the year.
Right, exactly. And that doesn't mean it's a bad game. That just means it's a great game. I have 4 games. I'm gonna just go through the 4. real quick, and then we'll go to
Okay.
yours. I'll do an explanation kind of a little bit on each of them. So Mechajammer, it is very much an old school type of RPG slash game, where it falls similar into the category of Fallout. It is literally you starting, landing on this planet, and just the whole idea behind it is just to get off the planet. Like, it very much goes into that idea of not over tutorializing you and being like, you could get off the planet any way you want. You could figure it out. You could hire a bunch of goons and take over an area and get a ship. You could go through and stealthily sneak your way in. You could try to get a bunch of gangs on your side, like the gangs in that territory, and then take over those certain areas. Apparently there was talks of you could potentially, although it's heavily guarded, but like just find your way into a ship really easy, like really at the start of it, and just finish the game real quick, like just try and speed run it. So it's very much a play the game you want, which I always love those types of games. And it just looks so good, dude. If you're looking at it right now, like the art style to it has this weird, like very 2.5D type look to it, this pixel art, this gritty world. Like, it just looks so nice, and I am so hyped for it.
Yeah, the game looks awesome. I'm actually pretty blown away by it. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to try it. It reminds me a lot in many ways of Death Trash, which probably would be on here, but I don't want to play.
Coming out in 2021.
I don't. Yeah, its early access period is open, but I just don't want to play it because I want to just experience the full game. So in 2022, hopefully it'll be my game of the year. We'll see.
All right.
But then my other three, Hollow Knight, Silksong. I don't think it's coming
dude, that's
out.
fucking on here. You best believe I got that on here. It comes out, everything's getting thrown off.
I don't think it's coming out, but if it was to come
not.
out, dude, I don't think so either. But you got to put it on there because you don't know.
You got to cross your fingers. Like, maybe you're the thing that jinxes this shit and it doesn't come out this year. You got to, it's coming out,
I mean, maybe. But if it did, I am pretty damn sure that would be right up there on the top of the list. Like, I can't imagine Hollow Knight not being a good game. Granted, maybe me overhyping it will make it so that when I play it, I'm like, it was okay. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. My next one is Weird West. I don't know when Weird West comes out, but I'm just hyped to play it. I don't even know much about it.
We've seen like 3 things about it.
Yeah, it just looks like a Josh ass game, and I want to play it. But I once again don't know when that's going to come out. I don't think it'll come out anytime soon. But if it does, probably at the top of the list. And then my last one, which I don't think will really make it, like, this one's coming out this year, but I don't think it'll make my top of the list because I had kind of a sour note on it when we talked about it in previous episodes. But it might be different when I actually play it, but it's Back for Blood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cause I love Left 4 Dead. I've had so much fun playing it with my buddies. And I think Back for Blood had a lot of really cool mechanics in it, but I think it needs tweaking in certain areas. And I also think that the people were super annoying and forgettable. So we'll see. I don't know. I have to play it, but there is a potential for it to be that, top list, right? So hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna add like a couple, like just off the cuff. There are the few that I have on my list, obviously, but I have yet to play Eastward. It's very possible that will actually become a game of the year. I just haven't played it yet, We'll see what happens. I very much enjoyed the demo, but whatever. I guess we'll find out when I actually play the game itself.
We will find out.
There is the Long Gone days. It's something that I've been looking forward to since I believe the first Kind of Funny Games showcase. It's just kind of like this. I believe it's like a tactical RPG mixed with what would be an adventure game where you are these basically child soldiers. It's in early access right now, but I'm waiting to play it until the full game comes out. I actually there was that diversity bundle with it, like the itch.io diversity bundle where you could support a more diverse indie games industry.
Right.
And it's in there. I just haven't played it because I'm like, I just want I want it all. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And the last one, because I'm just like shooting through my Steam wish list, looking at what I want, is
sure.
Renane. This one I found really, really interesting. I forget where we saw it last. It might have been either in the Wholesome Direct or I want to say like it, maybe like in an indie showcase, but I just like it. 2D action platformer. I think it looks really cute. It looks really interesting. Still got that TBA release date, so probably not going to come out, but the game does look really cool and I actually really like it. Outside of those just like quick mentions, I of course have the Hollow Knight Silk Song by Team Cherry.
Come on.
You best believe that shit comes out this year. That's
it.
going to be my game of the year. It's just, it's what it is. Second up, I've got Tunic by Andrew Shouldice. I don't know. It looks like shoulder ice, but without the ER, so it's like Shouldice. I'm not exactly sure. Tunic has looked cool ever since it was first announced in like 2016.
Did you play the
like
demo?
one of the Xbox showcases? No, I didn't.
Okay. I heard it was
it's kind of
tough.
that thing where it's like, I don't. Ooh,
Yeah, I heard it was.
that's nice.
I heard it was a little toughy.
Maybe if it's tough, I'll be more into it. Because I don't know, like the challenge of Hollow Knight was also a big part of why I enjoyed the game. So, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, dude. Another game, of course, or the last game I have on here, outside of Hollow Knight, Silksong, and Tunic, would be Little Devil Inside. This was shown at like a PlayStation showcase, or it was the State of Play like 2 years ago. I think when the actual model of the PlayStation 5 was shown, I believe it was in that one. And I remember it actually had like a controversy where one of their enemies looked like it was in blackface. The game itself looks very, very interesting. Granted, we've seen it once. Don't know what gameplay is like at all, but it looks interesting. The game itself, like the visuals look cool. I have no idea if that's this game could be like a fucking turn-based JRPG for all I know. But right now, I think Little Devil Inside by NeoStream Interactive looks very, very cool. And it's just like something on the back burner. I don't even know if it's going to come to PC currently. While looking, I only saw that it had like listings for PlayStation.
Yeah, I don't know.
If so, maybe I'll be picking up a PS5 to play Little Devil Inside. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of it's tough to say. Like even though it's so late into the year, like I still feel like there's a lot of good games that I want to try. Like I still want to finish Chicory. I still want to play like Xbox Game Pass just dropped a couple of games that looked really good, like Dandy Ace and
Sable looks really good too.
Yeah, and then I think there's something with a goose, Mighty Goose, that I've been playing. It's kind of like a Metal Gear meets Mega Man type game, which I'm having a lot of fun with. But apparently it's like a really short one, and I don't know that I would be top tier. But there's a lot of games that are still out there that are gonna have to be weighed out and see if they fit the final list.
Yeah, I should say another one that might knock some off, depending on when I play it, is Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Like, people have debated about this one because it was made using, like, a larger budget. But as far as I know, Ember Labs, I'm not 100% certain, the developers of the game are, like, an indie dev. So I'm not going to be really annoying and pedantic about it. Like, I do want to play the game. It looks interesting. Seems like some people are really enjoying it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, there are like a bunch of games coming out this year or that have already come out that haven't had a chance to play yet. Dandy Ace does look cool. I remember talking about it way back in Newscram. It's basically very similar to, I've heard the combat itself is similar to Hades.
Yep.
So maybe.
That's what I'm looking for.
Looks interesting. Oh, fuck me.
What a way to close this out.
Yeah, dude, you ever have that where you just like you go to breathe, but at the same time, like
Like
you breathe in like a little bit of saliva and it just fucks your existence up.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's fun. It's good stuff. So that is the end of this episode. Thanks everyone so much for listening. If you would like to chat with us outside of the show, you can of course follow us at IndiePod over on Twitter. I would highly recommend that because you'll get notifications of when episodes go live, when the developer interviews go live, and a bunch of interesting talk about indie games. So once again, follow us at IndiePod over on Twitter. You can follow me, Vaughn, at Hyde Legion. That's HYDELEGION on Twitter. You can check out my Twitch streams. I'm going to be Twitch streaming on Tuesdays and Fridays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. That will be starting next week, actually. Should be starting next week. I might have to not on the Tuesday, but I guaranteed will on the Friday because my vacation is coming and I have some homework I have to do as well. So I'm getting the homework that's due when I'm on vacation done now.
Just
and then
enjoy
gonna try to make sure I get some shit done.
All right. Don't go into this being like, all right, let me just kill myself and dive face first.
That's why I'm making sure that I'm not overwhelming myself, hopefully. You know, I'm only like working on a video essay, gonna stream, it's fun stuff, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can follow Big Josh Boy at _George90 over on Twitter. You got like 500 followers. You could join them up. You could be like, hey, what's up? Let's kiss, you know? Like, don't do that, but like you could if you wanted to be creepy. Like me. And you can follow his Twitch streams at it's twitch.tv/the_George if he ever decides to Twitch stream again. I think we're just gonna have to wait for that next fucking Binding of Isaac DLC for you to Twitch stream again.
Yeah, because that's honestly what got me streaming was just I needed an excuse to play all this Binding of Isaac and not make myself look crazy.
Dude, Binding of Isaac 2 comes out. Big Josh Boy's gonna be like, so am I a Twitch streamer now? Is this what I do?
Nah.
I don't know.
Nah.
And let's run through the housekeeping one more time before we hop off here. Of course, we've got our developer interview going live on the 6th of October. This one is with Paddle Creek Games, the developers of Fractured Veil. Be sure to check that one out. Of course, at the beginning of the show, Big Josh Boy laid out how this game is. Seems pretty interesting. Check out that IndiePod store over on Teespring. Got it mixed up. I was like, Teespring store over on IndiePod? No, the IndiePod store on Teespring, where you can pick up t-shirts and stickers. Head over to YouTube, subscribe to us there, leave us a like, whatever you want to do there, leave us a comment and such. You can watch these episodes. It's fun stuff. Leave us reviews on any site in which you can do so. Specifically, iTunes helps us out more than anything else when it comes to gaining a wider audience and spreading the word of indie games. And lastly, thank you so much to all of our amazing patrons at the $3 tier or higher. If you give us any amount of money or any amount of your time, you are absolutely fantastic and we love you for it. But made that blood pack, got to do it. You know, like I'm thinking if I don't do it, I might explode. I'm glad you reminded me. Glad you reminded me because
that could have been the end. That could have been the end.
Could have been a fleshy mass, dude. You would have had to fucking put this out, bro. I could have exploded and you would have been like, well, gotta fucking upload that episode. That's cool. You know?
Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be. It would have been an interesting episode. Be like, watch some dude spontaneously combust. Like, whatever, bro.
I mean, I would definitely have to take that part out.
No. Unadulterated. Put that shit on there. I'm
pretty sure YouTube's not going to be okay with that.
They're in the deal as well. It's a blood pact between all of us. It's going to happen.
I mean, I guess.
So thank you so much to Ethan, a gamer for fun. John, it's just John. We'll see Mixamatosis, a.k.a. Mix, Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Philip Renshaw, the one bit above Australia, Josh Nichols, a.k.a. Active Josh, and Sam Fillion from Canada. Thank you all so much. You are all so amazing, and we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.
That's true. I was going to say, I guess I could put it up because, like, that's going to be our last episode anyway. What's YouTube
Yeah, and we're
do?
not monetized. It's like, they're going to fucking try to take it down. You upload it again. You're like, sorry, this is legally binding. I have to do this.
Yep. The legally binding of Isaac.